We just looked at the first beast from the sea, who's the Antichrist, the second beast, who's the false prophet, and the dragon, who is Satan, that make the unholy trinity, how they constructed an image or icon of the Antichrist, and now they institute the mark of the beast. So we continue our study of Apocalypse chapter 13, beginning at verse 16, which reads as, "And he shall make all, both little and great, rich and poor, free men and bondmen, to have a character in their right hand or on their foreheads." Every human must now receive the mark of the beast. The Greek word for mark is charagma. It is an engraving or an etching. The Greek verb charasso means to engrave. And St. Paul in Acts chapter 17 uses the word to refer to graven pagan idols found in Athens, Greece. The reference to having it on the right hand or on the forehead is likely a reference to Moses. Moses in the Old Testament commanded the Israelites to bind God's law as a sign on thy hand and between thy eyes, Deuteronomy 6:8. Although Pharisees literally bound written laws on their foreheads and on their right hands with phylacteries, Jesus condemned this as a superstition. The real meaning is that God's law should be placed in our minds, faith, and upon our right hand, works. We must believe, our head, and we must perform, our hand, the laws of God. The Antichrist will mock the teaching of Moses by imposing wicked laws placed on the head, faith, and on the right hand, our actions. The Antichrist may very literally place this sign on the head and the hand, but he most definitely will place it into the minds and actions of those who worship him. Now, in verse 17, it reads, "And that no man might buy or sell, but he that hath the character or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." The consequence of not taking the mark or the engraving on our heads by faith or in our right hands and our actions is that one is removed from the economy. He cannot buy, he cannot sell. And then in verse 18, we read, "Here is wisdom. He that hath understanding, let him count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and that number of him is 666. The last verse here invokes wisdom, who is Christ. The number of the Antichrist is 666. 7, as you know, is the perfect number of holiness and completion. 6 is one less. It is a sacrilege. Land beasts and humans were created on the 6th day, and God rested on the 7th day. This removes the Sabbath of God and focuses on the land beast and upon humans who are created on the 6th day. Regarding the mark and the number of the beast, there is much controversy. We have already seen how some have sought to identify 666 with the year 666, but it's talking about a man, not a date. Now, in Greek, the number 666 is actually 3 letters, because in Greek, the letters are the numbers. So the letter chi, which looks like an X, is the number 600. The letter Xi is the number 60, and the letter digama, which looks like an F, is the number 6. In Greek, the letters of the alphabet also serve as numbers. For example, alpha is number 1 and beta is number 2, and so on and so forth. This means that the letters for any name in Greek can be added up, and this is what John is telling us to do, to add up the name and get the numbers. One noteworthy example of this is the name Jesus in Greek. Jesus in Greek, when you add up all those letters, is 888. So Yoda is 10, Eta is 8, Sigma is 200, Omicron is 70, Upsilon is 400, and Sigma is 200. You add all that up, you get 888. And as you know, the number 8 is associated with the 8th day, one beyond 7, and thus eternity and infinity. The number 6, however, is one short and is the man of sin and wickedness. So Jesus is 888, and the Antichrist is 666. St. Irenaeus, writing in the late 100s, gives us the first written account of 666 as found in the Apocalypse. First, he says that some manuscripts have 666, while others have 616. Scholarship backs this up because a number of ancient manuscripts that have been discovered have 616 instead of 666. For example, the Codex Ephremi Rescriptus and an ancient Armenian version of the Apocalypse preserve versions showing 616 instead of 666. Irenaeus, however, claims that 616 must be a copyist error and that 60 was mistakenly turned into a 10 to render it as 616, not 666. He explained, "I'm inclined to think that this occurred through the fault of copyists, as is wont to happen, since the number also expresses by letters, so that the Greek letter which expresses the number 60 was easily expanded into the number iota of the Greeks." Irenaeus is saying that 666 was accidentally changed into 616. But how does C, the number 60, accidentally become iota, the number 10? It's likely because early Christians had already associated the mark of the beast with the Roman Emperor Nero Caesar. Hebrew, like Greek, also assigns numbers to letter. When we add up the letters of Neron Caesar and pronounce it in Hebrew, we find the number 666. But if we omit the final N, we get 616. Hebrew-speaking Jews referred to Nero as Neron, but Latin speakers call the emperor Nero. And this would account for the different numbers, all of them pointing towards Nero Caesar, which is the preterist interpretation of the Antichrist, that Nero was a type or a foreshadowing of what the Antichrist would be in the future. Furthermore, this variation of 666 and 616 in relation to Nero may relate to the legend of Nero Redivus, the belief that Nero Caesar would return again in the future. The legend is found in the Sibylline oracles, in which Nero is said to have escaped to Persia, where he was building an enormous army to destroy Rome. Obviously, that was false. If this discrepancy between 666 and 616 does have to do with the identity of Nero Caesar, it is not stated or known to Irenaeus. In the same passage, Irenaeus confesses that he does not know the meaning of the number, and he rebukes those who claim to know it. He says, quote, "Moreover, another danger, by no means trifling, shall overtake those who falsely presume that they know the name of the Antichrist." Irenaeus then does us the service of listing the various solutions created by Christians during his lifetime around the year 150 to 200 AD. Irenaeus, as the first Christian to address 666 in writing, does not mention Nero. Instead, he finds Titan or Titan as the most likely name of the Antichrist, but he confesses that no one shall know the truth of this matter until the time comes. Irenaeus says, Titan, to the first syllable being written with the first two Greek vowels, epsilon and iota, among all the names which are found among us, is rather worthy of credit. So, neither has his name been declared, for the name of that which does not exist is not proclaimed. But when this Antichrist shall have devastated all things in this world, he will reign for 3 years and 6 months, and sit in the temple at Jerusalem. And then the Lord will come from heaven in the clouds in the glory of the Father, sending this man and those who follow him into the lake of fire, end quote. Thus says St. Irenaeus. Thus far, the demonic trinity of the dragon, the sea beast, and the land beast have promulgated the icon of the beast and the mark of the beast in order to recruit an army of humans who are publicly against God. Readers of the Apocalypse must ask themselves, would I worship the beast? Would I take the mark of the beast? St. John, after observing so much evil and the final plot of Satan, looks up to heaven, and there he sees Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God, assembling his own army of angels and saints. And here he begins to fight back against the Antichrist. 7 plagues, 7 bowls are being poured out upon the earth and upon the Antichrist, and this will climax in the return of Jesus Christ, when he will destroy forever, definitively, the Antichrist and Satan and institute the kingdom once and for all. So now we turn to our next video lesson, the 7 plagues being poured down upon the earth. Let's get started.